Gotta love me, babe. Gotta love me, babe.
It's kind of funny, but it's hard to believe that I'm actually doing this. But I am, and here I am. My name is John Finn of the House of Kavanagh. And what I want to share with you is creativity. I'm not Superman, but what I do believe is that each person has the kernel inside them, like a seed that can become creative in any way. And so I believe there are learned gifts, natural gifts, and I believe there are spiritual gifts. And each one of these is an aspect of creativity that comes to the individual. And depending on who you are and your relationship with your Maker, you will have a greater number of one or other of those three things. So understanding that creativity is a journey. And so in many children you see a vast array of creativity where they will experiment, and it doesn't matter if the experiment fails, it doesn't matter. But the thing is, they expressed something that was heartfelt, and out it came. Now you may not like their stick figures, and you may not even like what you yourself create, but then when you add color, and then when you add graphics, and then when you add music, this thing begins to have legs. It grows and becomes something far greater than who you are. And again, when you're creating something, you have no idea where this is going to go. How many times has a cameraman taken a photograph and then that one single photo encapsulates something that is way beyond the photograph of what was taken? In a poem, you can read words and then you say, these are not just words, there's something over and above in the content of what is being said. And that's where deep, call it unto deep, and that's where the heart becomes involved in creativity. So again, we have to say, when we're dealing with creativity, it's a journey, it's a series of steps, it's a walk that you take if you choose. In other words, creativity is a lifestyle. In other words, it just doesn't happen that I have it today, I'm not going to use it there tomorrow. It is always there. So the creative person has this welling up inside of them, and then finding the means of expression for that creativity is the thing. Now, if you're to be a designer of clothes, if you're to be an animator, if you're to be a muse, if you're to be a cameraman, if you're to be a photographer, if you're to be an editor, all of those things have these components. First of all, natural, first of all, learned, and third, which I consider to be the most important, is spiritual. Those three things come together within the framework of the personality of whoever you are. So the question then becomes is, how do I crack open the seed that got planted in the ground, and how do I get it to bring up, whether it's 30-fold, 60-fold, or 90-fold fruit, to see what gets produced? So again, I use the symbolism of a journey of 1,000 miles begins with but one step. So as you move towards this, as you become creative, as you become aware of your own creativity, and the other thing I believe most strongly is whatever form this takes, you never discard anything. So if a child is producing drawings, you preserve all those drawings. If the child is producing music, you take a recording of the music. Now, there are things that happen when you are creative. When you start taking these things and they become part of your heart, within the framework of this journey, it's like the mind says, I gave you something, or the universe says, I gave you something, or your creator says, I gave you something. Now, what did you do with what you were given? If it was something small, do you despise it? If it's something medium, do you treasure it more? Or if it's something very large, do you treasure it more? And the answer is it doesn't matter how small, whether it's medium or large, you treasure every part of this, because this is the journey in your life, and you do not know what you start today will produce tomorrow. You don't know. You have no idea, because you have not arrived. Now, if we take somebody like Louis L'Amour, who said when he had reached the magical age of 70, he had arrived. In other words, he had started to reach a point of creative capacity where he could turn out books in a way that he felt that was competent with his skills, with his ability, with his learning, with his education, with his insight, with his knowledge. All of those things come together to make the larger picture of who you are as you reach out towards music, as you reach out towards graphics, as you reach out towards writing. So let's say you get a poem. Do you record it? You must. Every time, with everything you get, keep a record of it. And then your heart, universe, or your creator says, I gave you something. You treasure that little gift, no matter how big or small it was, and you did something with it. And since you treasured that gift, now I'm going to give you something to add to it. So they're like talents. Do you take the talents and use them, or do you bury them? You never bury a talent. You put it to use. You have no idea where it will go, what will happen from its use, but as you use it, and as you use the gifts you have, and as you reach out to learn more and more and more, you open up. You're like a flower. It's like you don't see the seeds when the flower's like that. You don't see the inside of the petals when it's like that. But as it opens up and becomes fully formed, and the seed pods grow and all these wonderful things happen, so it is with each person's life. This is how creativity works within the life of any soul on planet Earth. As you walk towards this, as you grow into it, as you reach for it, as you strive, because there's times when whatever will happen where it's like it's beyond you. You keep reaching out, you keep stepping forward. These are the steps that are part of the creative process.
Gotta love me, babe. Gotta love me, babe.